Good evening. Welcome to the City of Bella Vista December Council meeting in incredibly warm weather. I think a lot of us were walking around in short sleeves, and it's 4 days to Christmas. It's incredible. We'll start with the invocation by Dennis Ritchie from the Presbyterian Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we give you thanks for this day and this Christmas season as we remember the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ as we await his coming again. We give you thanks for the city of Bella Vista and for the men and women who represent this great city. For the aldermen and women who serve, we give you thanks just as we thank you for police and fire and the other various departments, that you would watch over those public safety officials as they do their work, that you would bless all the people of this community as we seek to work together, and that you would give the city council wisdom and insight to do their duty to serve this community. Watch over us, forgive us when we fall short. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First order of business is a roll call. Mr. Jurtson.
Okay, Alderman Anderson.
Here.
Alderman Flynn.
Here.
Alderman King.
Here.
Alderman Morgan.
Here.
Alderman Wozniak.
Here.
Alderman Wilson.
Here.
All present and accounted for.
Thank you. The next is citizen input. We have one, Debbie Reynolds. Yep. Michelle Stand has it for you.
I'm Debbie Reynolds. I am a former Village Player, if anyone remembers the Village Players. We did plays at Reardon and NWAC and a whole lot of places, it seemed like. Just wanted to give an interest in the Arts Council, just from what I read in the paper. I've just been back to Bella Vista since the 19th of November. So glad I'm back. And one of the reasons the Village Players dissolved was there was no place to perform. Reardon was too high, NWAC was too crowded, so I'm a representative of about 30 or 40 people here tonight. They're all at other places. It's Christmas. So just to let you all know, we're very interested. We would so love to have a place to perform. And there's a lot of interest. We have banjoers, we have guitars, we have everything. People just want to perform. And give us a chance. We are interested. Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. Okay. We do have time. Anyone else? Alrighty. We have two sets of minutes to approve. The first is November 16th. And I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, same sign. Carried, thank you. The next is November 30th. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any errors or omissions? All those in favor, show of hands. Opposed? Carried, thank you. I'm going to move on to the financials. Chris, have you got them up? I'm not going to dwell a lot on the first two slides. Instead, Chris, if you go to the first slide entitled Year-to-Date November Budget to Actuals by Department. As a city, we have to have a balanced budget, and we have to ensure that every department is either on budget or under budget. And that is opposed to what you do at home, for example, where you are actually doing a family budget but you don't break it down necessarily between each of the kids and yourself and your spouse, but here we do. And later this evening, you're going to be hearing a motion proposing that I be given the authorization to take money from some that have underrun to cover those that have overrun. And so, in prelude to that, I wanted to give you an explanation of where we are. So as of year-to-date, end of November, on the board you can actually see where each of the departments sit at the moment. Just to help you with some of the acronyms under admin, the 10K ACA is the Affordable Care Act. This was a bill that we got from the government that, while anticipated, we never thought it would be this high. And it's an annual bill that we're going to get as our fair contribution to help keep the rates down, apparently. So they levied us at a certain dollar amount per head and presented us with a bill which was time sensitive, and we have paid. There was also $6,000. AML stands for the Arkansas Municipal League. We have vehicle insurance, lawsuit protection insurance, all sorts of stuff through them. And this was a drug testing program that we have initiated. On the streets, as you know, we had the fire in Palm Sunday. And while we got a certain amount of money that covered all the vehicles and whatnot, they don't necessarily cover screwdrivers and going right down to the small tools, nuts, bolts. And over time, it accumulated to being about $100,000. Excuse me. And then we had an overrun in the road material. And then the rest you can read for yourself. Chris, do you want to go to the next? If anybody wants to see this afterwards, please come forward. And then we've done a year-to-date December projection based on discussions with the department heads. And so what I'm going to show you here is those items where they have been purchasing services or products, tangible things, in preparation for next year, or things that have been on a wish list and the staff has asked that they be included. So for example, in the admin, we're thinking we're going to be 25K over budget. The additional 12 from what I just showed you was we had a major crash in our very old server that held all our financial information as well as the computer. And we managed to salvage the data so we didn't lose anything, but we immediately had to order a new server and a new computer. Chief, that came in last week, if I remember correctly. Okay. On the streets, you can see it's gone up some more, and that basically is just more road material. There is puts and takes throughout a budget, as you know from doing it at home. And on the street side, we were able to actually save some money on a project on Highland Boulevard, where you may have seen we closed the road for a while because we had to put in some new culverts. And the lowest bid we got was $155,000, which Mike Brutton rejected, and instead he elected to do it in-house for $44,000. So we were able to save that money as well. Sounds a bit like healthcare, Linda. Anyway. We go to legal, we don't see any change. In the community development services, as you may have heard if you've been watching this program or you've been reading the minutes, Chris Sunnison and his team have been working on a special project on Reardon Road. How do we improve the turn that comes in off 71? How do we give better access into the actual shopping center? Plus, we're also looking at road flow, traffic flows on the other side of the old Iberia Bank, where we're going to have a trailhead for the hiking and biking trails. We're also working on Lower Suits Us. Hasn't been a lot of progress, but the surveyors and the engineers have been out there. That's that first stretch from 71 up to where it touches Crestview. Our plan is to hopefully widen it, because it's very, very narrow, and to also pave it, and also to address the drainage, because when it rains, especially when it really rains, we have a lot of gravel down at the bottom, and I can just see people coming down slamming on the brakes, and it'll be like marbles, and they'll go right into 71. So that's underway. Chris and his team moved over the weekend, busily unpacking boxes today, and Chief was up there with our IT support people, and they were able to open for business, and away we go. And so there was $20,000 for renovations. That was anticipated. We're also going to get a new GIS server and some software, and then Chris has 2 trucks, and we're going to put in some radios, and there was some maintenance and getting ready for winter, because the plan is that there'll be spare trucks in the event that the fire department or the police department needs 2 other trucks to assist. The police department, you can see it there, they had $19,000 in IT, which was 4 computers and also some software for car laptops. They bought 4 tasers. They bought, was it 10 lights for the, no, it was 16 lights for the pistols, wasn't it? Now, these are lights that actually fit on the rail that's on the bottom of the pistol, so that the officers aren't going in with a light in one hand, a pistol in the other, and then they can't talk into the radio without putting something down or fumbling. It all stays in the right hand so that they can also work their radio. A little safer for them. Also a tripod and a head for crime scenes. This is special equipment that will complement the camera so that you can take pictures of a crime scene from different angles, etc. And then we got a couple of water coolers, because the gang upstairs especially was a little jealous of the fire department having their water cooler. So Chief Sims, they've got 2 and you've got 1. On the fire side, they're under budget as well, but there have been some purchases made. You may have heard that the jaws of life that we have need to be replaced. I saw the bill come across my desk with the checks, so I assume they're in. Okay. He also spent $15K for appliances for station number 4, refrigerators, washer dryers. Bought them right around Thanksgiving because everybody was having amazing sales. And then finally, $6K for a pressure washer. And then no change in the waste management in the library. So if you go to the next slide, please, Chris. So here's the bottom line. The total underrun is $408,000 minus the overruns of $207, means an estimated year-end underrun of $201K. So, as I say, this is available to anybody who wants to see it. Any questions, sir?
On that slide just before this one, you show the under budget. Is that before or after you get those items that are then listed?
No,
like,
that's
for instance, the police department, 141K under budget. That's after you buy the extra computers, the lasers, the pistol lights, or that's before? You
That's
buy
after.
That's after.
Yes, sir.
So we didn't budget too good last year, huh?
Well,
I didn't do a good job last year.
or the police chief didn't spend everything he was supposed to spend. Okay. Now, we caught something this morning, which is that we have not been approving the monthly financial statements. We've been talking about them, and we've been sending them out to council and posting them and doing all the right things, but for some reason, we just did not.
Well, let me address this. The treasurer came to me this morning, noted that we had not done this for a few months this year, and so out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to recommend we go ahead and move and approve those. After the fact, and in fact, I think after the mayor and I even spoke about it, I went back and did some research. The treasurer is legally responsible for providing a report on a monthly basis. I can't find any legal requirement that you all quote unquote approve it. Certainly if the record shows that it has been accepted, that shows the treasurer has done her job. And I think she'd like to have that shown for purposes of audit. And so I'm just going to go ahead and ask if someone would move to go ahead and approve. And I think the mayor has the list there, and you could all do all that in one vote.
It's from March through to November.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Roll call, sir?
Okay. Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you. And in future, you're going to put this as...
Yeah, we will make sure it's on
Agenda.
there.
My apologies, thank you. The next is a motion to suspend the rules and read all proposed ordinances and resolutions on the agenda by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you. First order of business is an ordinance accepting and confirming easements dedicated to the public and for other purposes. This is the second reading. As we discussed at the work session, this is a Christmas present, and the well has been dug. Is the septic system in as well? Right. So they're anxious to get moving. So what I'd like to do, please, is to entertain a motion suspending the rules and moving to third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Jertson? So we're voting on suspending the rules.
Okay. Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you. I'll now read it for the third and final time. Accepting and confirming easements dedicated to the public and for other purposes. May I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you. And Counselor, you're still of the opinion that this is not of a permanent and general nature?
That's correct.
And therefore it takes effect immediately?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'll give you a call tomorrow after I sign it so that you can go and get it recorded, et cetera. Okay. The next is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Bella Vista to establish a Bella Vista Arts Council, to define its membership, purpose, powers, and duties, and for other purposes. This is the first reading. Are there any questions or discussion? Debbie, thanks for speaking up. Moving on to the next ordinance, amending section 109-166A of the Municipal Code to provide for stricter access, structure setbacks, and for other purposes. This is the first reading. This is as a result of council asking staff to have a look after we had the Brompton incident. So are there any questions for Mr. Sunnison or his staff? Okay. We'll move to the next, which is an ordinance accepting and confirming rights of way dedicated to the public for Memorial Drive and for other purposes. This is a first reading. I can confirm with you that we did receive the check from Cooper for the repairs to the road that have been done. Are there any questions? Okay. The next is an ordinance waiving the requirements of a formal competitive bidding and authorizing the purchase of backhoe repair services in an amount not to exceed $65,000 from Scott Equipment, amending the 2016 city budget and for other purposes. This was a backhoe that found itself down on the bottom of a hollow, and it had extensive damage, but not enough that it was totaled. So as a result, the insurance company told us to take it to Scott Equipment to have it repaired. And so this is the ordinance to waive the requirements of a formal competitive bidding.
Mayor, I think this one is probably one we would, I think the staff would ask this be expedited and put on third and final reading with the suspension of the rule. This is a bid waiver ordinance, so we have to read 3 times, but I think they need to move forward on that, if my memory serves.
Yes, I believe that's right. So I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and move to third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
And we're now going to vote on suspending the rules.
Okay. Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Carries 6-0.
Okay, third and final reading, waiving the requirements of a formal competitive bidding and authorizing the purchase of backhoe repair services in an amount not to exceed $65,000 from Scott Equipment, amending the 2016 city budget and for other purposes. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Carries 6-0.
Thank you. Moving on to the first resolution of the evening, and this ties in with the slideshow that we just had, is authorizing budgetary funding transfers between departments in the 2015 annual city budget. Is there any discussion or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Carries 6-0.
Thank you. The next resolution is reappointing members to the Board of Construction Appeals to fill expiring terms. This is, position number 4 is John Nuttall, and position 5 is Stanley Moore, and their terms will expire in 2019. Are there any questions or discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Carries 6-0.
Thank you. The next resolution, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into a contract with Lone Star Emergency Vehicles through the Houston Galveston Area Council HGAC Cooperative Purchasing Program in an amount not to exceed $216,000 for the purchase of a 2016 4x4 Chief XL Braun ambulance for the use by the fire department. As we discussed in the work session, this is in the 2016 budget, but the lead time is 10 months, Chief. And I know council knows this, but for those of you who are wondering why we're doing it so early and why does it take 10 months, like dump trucks, as we found out after the fire, although I imagine many here knew that already, you just don't go to the ambulance motor store and pick up an ambulance off the block. It actually has to be ordered, so it's similar to dump trucks, fire trucks, that kind of thing. Are there any questions at all? Chief, I think you said this was a Ford? Okay. Are there any questions for
Have
Chief?
they extended their warranty yet?
Oh, dear me. If there's no more, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Excuse me. Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Carries 6-0.
Thank you. The next is a resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to enter into a contract with Walmart Stores, Inc. in the annual amount of $12,000 for the purpose of the city providing emergency fire response coverage to Walmart facilities located in McDonald County, Missouri, and for other purposes. Chief, you've had some meetings since we had the work session, and I believe you also said that Walmart is prepared to go ahead? Yeah, if you'd like to see Michelle, and she'll give you the
Minor-
stand.
I can address some of this, Mayor.
Okay.
I know Steve has met with security personnel with Walmart Stores Incorporated that are in charge of the particular facilities that we're talking about, and I believe they've worked out a solution that's going to, when we talked at work session, we had to work through some logistical issues, and we think we've got those issues ironed out with Walmart. So it looks like, and I'll let Steve address the particulars of that, but it looks like we're going to be able to overcome those logistical issues, and we should be ready to approve this agreement tonight.
Okay, the two, actually the three properties we're talking about is two are off of Bear Hollow Road. One of them is a data center, and one of them is a distribution type center that does work with computers. And the third one is the super center in Jane, Missouri. And what we worked out, we did meet on Thursday, and we visited about how the call would come to our dispatch to dispatches to a fire-related emergency. And what we come up with is Walmart has their own alarm central. So it means that any alarm that comes through their facilities goes to their facility to be able for them to send it to another facility to be dispatched. So what's going to happen is if somebody pulls an alarm at any one of those facilities, is that alarm's going to go to their alarm central, and their alarm central is going to turn around and call our dispatch and tell them there's a fire emergency, what the fire emergency is at those three facilities, and they're going to dispatch. Our dispatch is going to dispatch the fire department to that location. So that's generally how it's set up right now. It's pretty much the data center and the Star Complex are pretty easily identified because they're security, high security, so not just anybody's going to be inside there. And with the other logistics at the Walmart Supercenter is if there's a fire emergency outside of that alarm central call, then they're going to notify our dispatch direct, which that's generally what happens currently with that. If we're sent down to the Walmart Jane in Missouri for emergency response.
And this is only fire, not ambulance,
That's
not
correct.
police.
Sure. Alderman Anderson?
Somebody has to have been making the calls up to now. Do we have any feel for number of emergencies, number of times somebody has shown up?
I could probably get that information from McDonald County, but after talking with the Walmart representatives, they didn't talk like there's a whole lot of times that they needed fire assistance down there. Now I do know at the data center, the guy that manages the data center, Dale Ayers, advised that he only knows of a couple of times that the fire department was dispatched on actual fires.
Yeah, you understand what my concern is.
Yeah.
$12,000 doesn't go too far when we send out a fire truck. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a pretty expensive piece of equipment to send it out. If we send it out 3 times a week, why $12,000 isn't going to do much for us.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to.
And that's what I'm wondering. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody has been making trips now when they've had it.
Well,
How many
I don't-
trips do we make? How
I don't
many
know.
times do they show up?
I don't know if I'd say they'd be making trips, but there's somebody being dispatched that area. We're just gonna have to analyze it and see how it is, from month to month, I guess, and get our own numbers.
We're
on
not
that.
locked in forever. For some reason, it's a shocking amount in year one. We're not obligated to go into it any further than that. We can give notice. There have been a few fire emergencies that we know of, nowhere near one a month, maybe one a year. Would it even, that may be straining it, maybe 2 a year, where someone gets called out because they smell something, or maybe, obviously they haven't
Yeah.
burned, so we know whatever it was ended up not being a fire. But the concern from Walmart's perspective is that the area is covered now by a volunteer fire company here in Missouri, and they really are understaffed and under-equipped to handle the needs that they need to meet there for their needs. So that's why they reached out to us, because we can provide them a level of coverage which they need to meet their business obligations.
Yeah. Go ahead.
See, we made one run up there, and we use an awful lot of manpower, an awful lot of equipment. Any way we can get reimbursed on that?
We did talk to him about,
$12,000, that's like a retainer. But if we go up there and we're there for a while and lose some equipment and or whatever, expend a lot of equipment, Is there some way to get some of that back?
Well,
In this.
no different than it would be responding to an event here in the city. So, we respond, and that's what we're agreeing to do, is provide fire coverage. So, there is a risk to the city, and it's personnel, equipment, and all the risks that the fire department takes when it responds to, say, a fire in this location we're seeing in right now. So, no, I don't see an ability to, bill them extra or anything.
Is that more than we've been getting?
We get
Yeah,
zero
That's correct.
now.
That's correct.
Okay.
And one thing, Chief, you might want to tell them is, what all you have, what all we do up there anyway, and as it is right now.
Yeah, we, in the past, we have made several calls there, with one of them being a major propane incident. Actually, we were called out there a couple times for a major propane leak inside the super center, and that's because the only one they could call that they felt had the expertise that would show up to the call was the Bella Vista Fire Department, and we did. Matter of fact, we actually helped them make some changes in the way their system was set up to make it better. Another one was, I don't know if y'all remember, but when the car drove through the front of the liquor store, we were the first fire department on the scene because they needed somebody immediately there quick, and they called us. So yes, there are cases that we do go to that facility for fire-related emergencies without no reimbursement at all.
There was, I can't tell you which local station I was watching before I came tonight, but they spoke that the city council tonight in Bella Vista would be voting on this issue, and that it was emergency ambulance response, so expect some phone calls.
Yeah, but that's not what the contract's for.
I know.
And they, even Walmart had asked that about, now, if you send the fire truck, you're gonna send an ambulance, and I'd explain to them it's only fire-related response, only, no medical, because of that, because of Freeman Ambulance. Yep.
They don't normally send an EMS unit with the fire?
We, they may get an EMS unit, but it'd be for fire, for our own protection, for our own services. So that's what we send on a commercial alarm as well.
Other questions? Good discussion.
But we'll give it a year's time and see what kind of responses we make down there. And the next time we go to Walmart, we might be able to talk something different.
Are you able to contact your Walmart folks and find out just how many runs either the volunteer fire department has been doing over the past 12 months?
I did ask them at that meeting, and they really couldn't give me anything from, well, because they're set up in different divisions, they really couldn't give me anything at that point in time from the Super Center or the Star Complex. But they did say, well, we've only had a couple of incidences here at the data center that required a fire response or emergency response.
Let me clarify one thing about the term and the termination. It's effective and remains in force until it's canceled. And either party can provide 30 days notice of cancellation. However, once they pay that yearly fee, if we cancel within that year, we would owe them back a pro rata share of whatever had not been earned or had been used up yet. So $1,000 a month for whatever was left in that calendar year. So it's not locked in even for a year.
Sounds good.
And your team has been through all these complexes?
The only one we haven't been through is the Super Center, but we have been through the Star Complex and the data center. We do the data center basically every year. Because we do know that we're subject to calls down there because we're so close to the state line.
Okay.
On either mutual aid agreement or vice versa.
Any other questions for Chief? Thank you, sir. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Wilson. Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you. The next resolution is appointing member to the Board of Zoning Adjustment to fill a vacated position. The candidate is A.J. Morris, and that'll be filling position number 1. Are there any questions or discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you. The next resolution is authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to enter into a contract with Benton County, Arkansas for the amount of $10,000 for the provision of emergency medical services, ambulance services, to unincorporated portions of the county for calendar year 2016 and for other purposes. At the work session last week, council had requested an updated map because the area had changed. So in front of you this evening, there should be a map. Chief, do you want to address any of these areas or at all? Okay. So the areas of coverage are in blue, dark blue?
Yeah, the area that you see there are the blue area. That's the actual county response areas that the city of Bella Vista Fire and Ambulance has. The big portion in the west out towards Gravett, that's the unincorporated area, or unincorporated area that actually belongs to Cooper, and I think it belongs to, Chris, where's the other? The APAC,
yeah.
that's right. So mainly what we respond to when you're looking at that might be out off of Rocky Dale Hollow Road, a few addresses out there, which is a gun range area, which we have made a few calls out there. The main portion that we respond to that's in the county in the blue is up around Skyline Drive, Pine Street, Cedar Crest Loop, all of those addresses up there we respond to probably more than we do out in the west part or the northern part of the city in the county areas. And all that along Dartmoor off of Spring Road. We go to Spring Road, which is off of Dartmoor Drive. Those are the areas that we see, and I counted up before I come over here, and so far this year, third quarter, we've made about 40 calls in that area only, in those areas. So through the whole year, we've made 40, out of 4,000 calls, we made 40. And they're paying us $10,000 to make sure we're available for EMS there, and we bill the patient.
We do bill the patient
We do bill
anyway,
the
so
patient.
we get reimbursed that way,
That's correct.
quite frequently.
Yes.
Not always, but quite frequently.
That's right. I think it's an average of anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 that during each quarter that we check on that we're not reimbursed back. So, but most of it we're reimbursed.
Any questions for Chief?
Okay.
All righty, thanks, Chief. I'd entertain a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you. The next resolution is authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to enter into a sixth addendum to the lease agreement with Cooper Communities, Inc. for space for the street department on Pinion Drive. Cooper has rebuilt the building that was destroyed in the fire, and our people are now using it. There's a nice break room in there, and they're also storing some of the equipment and the vehicles inside. We had, as a council, passed the fifth addendum, which took us up till the end of March. Nabholz is hoping to be finished with the street department sometime in March. I think we'd just like to have another month as buffer just in case. So that's what this is. This increases the agreement by 1 month. Are there any questions or discussion?
Does their rebuilt building have fire sprinklers?
No, it does not.
No, it wasn't required to.
Very well.
Firewalls?
Any other questions?
We've used part of the building the entire time, right?
Yes,
The
that's
mechanics
true.
area and that down there, so.
That's very true.
All we're talking about is the front part of the building now.
Well, we,
And we're not gonna move back, are we going to move back the, break room, for want of a better term?
Our current lease addendum had an accelerator in it and said, once the building was rebuilt, that we would then, we had reduced rent for the reduced portion of the building we were using.
Right.
And once the building was rebuilt, then the rent would go back to what it used to be, because we were using the
Okay.
entirety of the building. They have done that, and we have been paying that increased rental amount pursuant to the current agreement. And so this keeps that rent the same and extends it 1 month. That's the only difference. So we have been using the new portion of that building. I don't know to what extent, Mike's not here, but the building did get finished a few months ago. I'm not sure exactly how long it's been.
Yep.
And
We are now.
We're not using it for a day room, are we? Are we still using the trailer?
No, the trailer's gone.
Trailer's gone.
Mhm. We returned it.
Did they rebuild the day room portion
Yep.
inside?
Mhm. They did.
Oh, okay, good.
The
good.
condition was they had to rebuild it to the way it was. in
So
order for us to
restrooms
pay
are
the
in
rent.
there, the day room's in there, the whole works?
Yep.
Good, okay. I need to get down there and look at it.
Yeah, it's actually, it's a pretty nice break room.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson. Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you. The next resolution, accepting recreational trail property from Cooper Communities, Inc., subject to the terms and conditions for purposes of facilitating a public recreational trail system throughout the city. This is the final piece of the puzzle. As you may remember, in past council meetings, we have approved an agreement with the POA so that we can have the trails built on their common property, and that was through a licensing agreement. There is a very, very small portion of the trails that will go through Cooper land. They decided not to do a license agreement, but instead they had said that they'd like to do a quitclaim. So if you go through in your package, you'll actually see the quitclaim deed. Counselor, I know that you were involved deeply on this. Are there any comments?
The main issue that we needed to clear up was Cooper is retaining a utility, basically a blanket easement across the area to put utilities across, over, under, and through the area for their purposes to the other part of their land. It's not involved in the trail. And so one of the things we need to clarify was if the trail has to be torn up, who's going to pay to put it back? And so as you can see there in the reservation of use, it says that the grantor will use its best efforts consistent with its purposes to lessen any damage or inconvenience to improvements which have been made, which have theretofore been located upon the property. Grantor, its successors, and assigns further reserves the right to put roads on there. And where is the language I'm looking for? Chris, why don't you bail me out because I don't have my reading glasses. Tell them what it says.
I get to get it wet now. Just above to have and to hold in that agreement, it's basically a paragraph that says, except for roads, streets, highways, and other ways of ingress and egress as set forth above, grantors shall repair at grantor's expense all damage that adversely affects the ability to use said trails and use reasonable effort to restore said trails as close as reasonable to the original condition.
They're going to put it back, in other words, but I wanted to find the official words, but I don't have my reading glasses, so thank you. So they're going to take care of that should they make use of that easement after the trail's been constructed.
Thank you.
We're talking about a very small area. This is maybe 3 miles out of a total network of between 25 and 30 miles at this point.
All right. Are there any questions or discussion?
Well, do I understand this right then, when people ask what property the trails are on, the majority of it's on POA land, and some of it's now on city land, and none of it's on Cooper land? Is that right?
No,
It's
no.
on, they are, there's a reversion. It's a quitclaim deed, but there's a reversion clause. So yes, it is the city's. Cooper has retained an easement, but if it were to not be used for a trail anymore, the property
Right.
would immediately go back to Cooper. So yes, you're technically correct, but Cooper does maintain an easement and usefulness of it.
Right.
Other questions?
How
Sir?
critical to Cooper is the 3-year requirement to get it done and usable and active within 3 years?
I
The way I
can't say
read
that we
that, if we
spoke
don't
that.
get it done in 3 years, this agreement goes by the wayside.
If it's not used within 3 years, I think that's correct. But I think the intention is to get this done well before that. We're gonna have to.
Intentions are great.
We're gonna have to, or we'll have to go back and extend it or something.
Well, I think you all got an email from Cassie Lapp inviting you to a January 6th groundbreaking, which it was actually initiated by the Walton Family Foundation to have it on that date. They want to get started, and so I'm hoping it's actually going to be finished by November of next year, because that's when the International Mountain Bike Association is here, and we want to showcase these. It's roughly 38 miles.
And again, the three years is just for this
Just for this
small
section.
portion. So if that had to be the first part we built, in order to get that done, we would do that to make sure that we did not fall victim to the reversion.
Good questions. Anything else? Alrighty, you'd entertain a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
Excuse me.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you. The next resolution, accepting the financial audit report presented by the Arkansas Division of Legislative Audit for the year ending December 31st, 2014. This is something that we have to do legally, Council?
Yes, within 10 days of receipt, the council has to review the audit findings and take any necessary steps to address issues which may have come to light in the audit. As has been the case in several previous years, the concern about acts of, concern about segregating duties among employees regarding the access to the funds and the deposits has been noted again. And so your resolution addresses that the way you have always addressed that, since that has come up with available, you will review practices and procedures relating to the segregation of duties, including cash handling and accounting among employees to the extent possible, given the limited financial resources to hire additional employees. One additional, again, the treasurer probably would be more qualified to give comments on the audit than I am, but I do know there was one comment in there. The audit did note that the payment to the Historical Museum, the $10,000 payment for the year 2014, was not supported by a contractual requirement to pay, and therefore they deemed that to have been an impermissible payment in support of a private entity, that was basically a donation. And so we can't make donations, and we have made made support to the Historical Museum in years past. It is pursuant to a contract, which we are allowed to do, for services to the citizenry, for providing historical education and museum services to the citizens. For whatever reason, in 2014, that had not been renewed, and so, but the payment was made, and so the audit did note that. And so also in that section, I have put in there for you, and feel free to alter this as you see fit. But in that last sentence, additionally, the city shall no longer make donation payments to the Bella Vista Historical Society, but rather shall only make such payments as are due in consideration for contractual services in full compliance with the state constitution. So that is just an acknowledgement of that. This is not a major thing. I don't want to make it sound like that, but it was noted, and we do need to respond to it, make sure we take care of it the right way in the future, as well as these other similar sorts of things that we do. So, any specific number-related questions to the audit? I'm the wrong person to ask. I don't.
I will tell you that today I received a letter signed by the Senate and the House co-chairs of the Legislative Joint Auditing Committee telling us that at their meeting on December the 11th, this audit was filed, which is the normal procedure. So from their perspective, we're done. Now we'll have the joy of having the auditors in early again next year. And we're running out of space again, Frank. I'm not quite sure where we're going to put them, but we'll find a way. So may I have a motion approving?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Alderman Morgan,
Yes.
Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak,
Yes.
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman King,
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Very good, 6-0.
Thank you. The final resolution, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to enter into an agreement with Grant Leisure in an amount not to exceed $19,950 for purposes of procuring an economic development study and authorizing a cost share with the Bella Vista Village Property Owners Association, Inc. As mentioned at the work session, this is to complement and update the economic development study that was done, I think it was started in 2010. We do have an economic development manager coming on board later this year, so this will be his or her Bible or guideline. As it notes here, I have approached the POA to do a cost share with us, and also outside of this, we have applied to Representative Sue Scott for a $10,000 grant from her GIF, the General Improvement Funds, to also go towards this, which would reduce the amount of money that both the POA and ourselves have to pay. We will not hear about that until March. It's unfortunately quite a long process, but I want to make sure that we have at least tried to get that additional $10,000 to reduce this. Are there any questions?
So assuming we don't, let's assume we don't get the GIF, we have to pay half of $19,950?
If the POA agrees, yes.
Oh, okay.
And I have approached them and they're talking now.
Have we ever asked Hendren?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kim decided to give us $5,000. And so we have filled in the paperwork, and that's going towards the bike trail over by the school that we have applied for. And I have also applied to Senator Hendren for $53,000 to assist us with the Hawk Crossing again over by the school. Whether we see it or not, we'll see. But
Well, Senator Hendren did come and talk to me a year and a half ago and said that he thought he'd been maybe quite not diligent enough in getting any money into Bella Vista. So I would think that quite possibly you might have a chance of getting something.
good.
I don't know what you'll get, but I would think something.
I spoke to him just before he was sent over to the Middle East,
Mm-hmm.
and he told me then that almost very same words that
Right.
he wanted to help Bella Vista this year. I've reached out to him twice since he's come back. I haven't had a reply,
Okay.
but I imagine he's probably catching up. Any thoughts, questions, discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Wilson. Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Carried, 6-0.
And under discussion at the work session, I announced that we are working on a new sign ordinance. Chris and his team are looking at it. We did receive a draft copy of a sign ordinance from the Municipal League. The International Municipal Lawyers Association is working on a document, and at the recent AML conference, I was able to get a copy from their legal department, and I've shared that with both Mr. Sunnison and Mr. Kelly. So more to come on that. Is there any other discussion? All right. Meetings and announcements. The next City Council work session will be Tuesday, January 19th, 2016 at 5:30 in the City Hall Conference Room. The next regular meeting of the City Council will be Monday, January 25th, 2016 at 6:30 right here in Legion Hall. The Planning Commission work session will be Wednesday, December 31st, 2015 at 4:30 in the City Hall Conference Room. The Planning Commission regular meeting will be on January the 11th, 2016 at 6:45 p.m. and please note the change of venue in the Cooper Elementary School cafeteria. Finally, the Public Safety Committee meeting will be January the 13th at 9 o'clock in the morning in the City Hall Conference Room.
The Wednesday for the work session for Planning Commission is on Wednesday, but that is December the 30th, not the 31st.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the clarification.
The day of the week and the time are right, just the wrong day of the month.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay. Finally, on behalf of the staff and council, we wish you the best of season's greetings for a happy and safe holiday, and we'll see you next year. Thanks for attending.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
That's right.